All right. I think we should be cool. Hey, everybody. Noah, everyone who reads It Must Converse is the channel. Thanks for coming by. What an awesome week. Man, what an awesome season this has turned out to be, to tell you the truth. Um, it is very, very busy, and I miss you guys, miss hanging out and talking so much. Every Friday, that kind of thing, doing a live. It seems like, missed it a couple times. That's okay, though. I mean, we're all, everybody's busy. I'm sure everybody kind of understands, but I really enjoy it. Yep. Okay. Sounds like it's sounding pretty good audio wise. You guys let me know if there's anything that, last week's debacle. It seems like about once every month and a half, I'll have a stream that just messes up and goes haywire, where the video is horrible quality. There's so much bogging down, all that kind of stuff. And my internet, there is no worries about internet connection here. Okay, there's none. And it just is inexplicable. I do the same thing, the same setup every time, and it's pretty simple what I do. I like to keep it simple if I can. What's up, Nick Voro? Happy Friday. Nice to see you, brother. And Tyler, the Falcon Reads, is in the house. Hell yeah. I got my buddy Ryan. Ryan's a big reader and writer, of course, right? So Ryan is on a kick reading Dean Koontz right now, and he reads a lot of Koontz, or has in his reading life, and was talking about Koontz and stuff like that. And then you drop your video. I really appreciated that one. Gave me some bearing. I've never read Koontz and never had like a desire to, but gave me a little bit of some bearings to different things that he would say, talking about like Odd Thomas and things like that. So the big thing that's been going on with me is, getting my Jeep right. And I'm happy to say that it's ridiculous. My Jeep is running so well, and it's just a beast, a total beast. The WJs, which is the Jeep Grand Cherokee 99 through 2004, those Jeep Grand Cherokees with the 4.7 liter V8s are just complete beasts. Probably the best car that Jeep has ever made. Old school Koontz be classy, new Koontz be assy. Hey man, there was a few where he's read that I don't think that you've talked about. So, different strokes for different folks when it comes down to it. I think that he definitely has a few faves, ones in his top five or something that are different than yours. So it seems like, especially with so many books that he's written, there's gems all through, and there's a bunch of crap, right? Sorry about that. So I love the Jeep, and I'm getting it. I've got it really, really good. I'll go through some of that stuff. It's just like Jeep kind of stuff, because there always problems with, are always something to fix, right? But I am focused on the cars and things like that, because I do have a 16-year-old. Her name's Fiona, and she has gotten her license maybe a few months ago, a couple months ago. And then she was single-minded focused on getting her own car, right, and saving money. And she's been working at Chick-fil-A for a while and getting that Chick-fil-A money and saving up. So she's at a point now where we're ready to buy a car. We're just now looking. She's looking for something like a small crossover SUV, something like a Toyota RAV4 or a Honda CRV. Hey, baby, Emily Clemens in the house. Nice to see you. And yeah, we're looking, for those kind of cars, and going around and seeing what kind of prices we can find, and looking for one that'll be just perfect. So that's taking up a lot of the free time, because there's looking and messaging and things like that. But then also the time to go and look. So we're getting up. We're getting it. What's up? Saw Alan Moore's Jerusalem at the library today and checked it out. Clayton, go for it, bro. Go for it. What's up, books, knitting, etc.? Christina is in the house. Nice to see you, Christina. Long time no see. And I do want to say that I appreciate, man, everybody that follows the channel. I've gotten like quite a few new subscribers in the last couple of weeks, more than normal in a 2-week period. And that is due to people just digging my content, content that's already out there. These lives, this weekly content, this doesn't get a lot of views, a week after or 2 weeks after. It never gets watched again, So this is the kind of hangout, stay current with the channel and what's going on with me kind of thing. That's what this is for. Yeah, I know, right? Emily says, sounding good. I'm saying, yeah, there you go. Finally, right? Last week it's such a disappointment when I set it up and everything, and I'm looking forward to hanging out with you guys, and then it just doesn't happen, right? So, yeah, I got the Jeep back, and then it was just thing after thing. We'll get into that maybe a little bit later on. First, let's show a movie, because I came into possession this week a movie that I love that I hadn't had for a while. And I had let a friend borrow it, and he never gave it back. And that's fine, because he's a good friend. So I'm happy that he has it, but we don't, talk that much. And, we used to be a lot closer, like work buddies and things like that, but now we don't see each other very much. So pretty much just has it. So Emily, when she heard that was the case, just ordered another copy, which, I should have done at some point, but didn't. And this is The Fall by Tarsim. If you've never seen The Fall, be prepared for one of the quintessential movies. Like, it is a movie, everything that makes movies great and storytelling great in the movie medium. This is an exercise in that. Just a perfectly, beautifully, visually stunning movie experience, and the story is epic. So all these visuals you see on the case, and the costumes and things like this, all this is part of a story. We have a character, and it's played by Lee Pace. If you know who Lee Pace is, he's a great actor. He was in a TV show called Pushing Up Daisies that was really well done, really smartly done. And the premise was that he could touch somebody. If he touched somebody, they would die. But, or if he could bring someone back to life, but then if he did that, somebody else would have to die. Something like this. And it was just really, fantastical, but then just put in commonplace, normal life, right? And it was a dark comedy. Very well done. Hey, Idjit Reads and Rambles in the house. What's up, Quentin? Happy Friday, bro. Nice to see you. And Jesse Reads and Meditates in the house. Nice to see you. Happy Friday. Thanks for coming by. All that kind of stuff. Conrob is here as well. Yes. Yeah. Nice to see you, Conrob. Yeah, Lee Pace is great, and this is probably his best performance. I love this movie. So he plays a stuntman that had fallen before the beginning of the movie, and he's in the hospital with 2 broken legs. Or no, he broke his back, so he's paralyzed from the waist down. Can't walk ever again. Can't do his job because he was a stuntman, right? And he's in despair. But we don't really know that, because our perspective and the story's perspective, the movie's perspective, is a little girl named Alexandria. I think I'm getting that right. It's been a while since I saw it, right? And this little girl is in the same hospital with a broken arm. She had fallen picking oranges. Her parents had an orange, or grove, and she befriends this guy, or he befriends her, and he starts telling her this story, and it's an epic fantasy, and it's awesome. What's up, Tom at LA Books? Happy Friday, bro, for sure. And this story is just unbelievably epic, and the characters are awesome. They're all very unique. There is a villain. There are and casts himself. Well, he begins to cast Alexandria's father as the main role, but it turns out her father is dead. So he casts. So then it has to change on the fly, right? And so it changes to him in the lead role of the story that he's telling, a fantasy version of himself. And then maybe 2-3 days, they can only meet for a certain time. And 2 or 3 days into this story, it becomes apparent that there is a motive for him telling her this story. He's gaining her trust because he wants her to do something for him. And that is to steal morphine, or grab a bottle of morphine from the dispensary so that he can kill himself. And she, after like 2 or 3 days of the storytelling, she shows up in the story as well by inserting herself, because they're telling the story as they're going together, right? And it's just beautifully done, beautifully done. And the climax of this, the story of Alexandria and Lee Pace's character in the hospital and what they're getting at, and the climax of the story that they're telling, ultimately coincides together. And it is a beautiful, wonderful movie. It exemplifies what makes movies so great. Just being able to go to something that completely is fantasy, something that completely doesn't happen and isn't even rooted in the real world. Yet, it is so meaningful. It's like the land of dreams. It's like the land of dreams, and what human beings can possibly conceive of, and what we attribute, where we find our meaning in life, what we put ourselves up to. So I really can't say too much about it. I love it. We're going to be watching it soon. And Fiona, my 16-year-old, is also getting into movies, getting into watching movies. And I have a lot of movies at the house. I was a movie buff for a long time in my life, and now just watch movies kind of sparingly, but have been watching more because Fiona's getting into it and saying, how do you know what's a good movie? What's a good movie to watch? And things like that. So we've been watching whatever, just getting into it. I want to, on the top of our list is to watch Amadeus. I haven't got her to watch it yet, but I will soon, because that's just an epic movie, right? So, Six Flags is on this spring. We've already got our Six Flags passes, Zelda and I. And with everybody doing their thing, I think Mama's got her season's pass coming or soon, so it's like whoever's off can go. We have Six Flags very, very close to where we live, right around the corner, actually, the Six Flags over Georgia. And we just can bust down and kill a couple of hours anytime. So it's a wonderful thing for the young one, right? Zelda just loves it. You had to watch Amadeus in an art appreciation class in high school. That's fantastic. That's definitely a movie to appreciate. Whenever I think of Amadeus, I want to rewatch it. That kind of thing. Kind of like Terry Gilliam's movies, any of them really, but specifically Tideland and The Fisher King. When I think of those movies, they're so long and well done and just epic, and there's always scenes that you don't ever think about unless you're watching the movie, right? Like because there's so many different scenes that do come to mind that you might revisit just in your mind, that there is many, many, many that you never think about unless you are watching it. So just so well done. I pay attention, lol. Yeah, heck yeah. So if y'all don't know, I mean, I definitely am a big chess guy, chess head, and I've been playing most of my life and play every day. I play chess every day, at least a couple of games, quick games. But then I have games that are 3 days per move, where there's like no time limit, right? I can make just a move a day if I feel like, and just I can keep looking at a position until I figure out what move I want to make, things like that, right? And I usually don't take more than 5 minutes on a move, but it is nice if it's a sticky situation to be able to look at a position, think about it, and all that kind of stuff, and then put it down, and then come back and look at it again and reevaluate. Do that a few times before choosing what what move you're going to make, right? So I love chess. So I've been following the World Chess Champion, and if y'all didn't know, we have a new World Chess Champion, and he's an American, a Chinese American named Ding Liren. And these, the top two that were fighting, that were playing for the World Chess Champion, turned out to be Ding Liren and Jan Nepomniachtchi. And Jan Nepomniachtchi is an amazing chess player. He had a long match versus Magnus Carlsen not too long ago, within the last year or 2 years. And that was just outstanding. But these games that they played, the World Chess Championship, over the last, maybe it was the last, it probably ended half a week ago, something like that, maybe a week ago. But it was going on for maybe, 2 weeks or 3 weeks before that. But the final games were just all in succession, and it was some of the greatest chess games that have ever been played by people. If you got later, Quentin, have a good night, bro. It's just been amazing. I put Brazil on the background from time to time. Heck yeah, Clayton. I mean, dude, Brazil is so awesome. God, I love it. Now that I think about it, it's probably one of the best musical biopics, or even the best biopic. Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, Conrab's got it right. I mean, Amadeus is one of the greatest biopics ever done. And, there, of course, there's speculation to the story. It's not actually saying that it's a nonfiction. And how could we know the nuances of Mozart's mannerisms, because we don't have any lasting evidence of these kind of things. We can just extrapolate from what we do know about the guy, and there's not going to be any more information forthcoming, right? We already got all the information. You're ashamed to say you've never played a game of chess in your life. Bro, just download a chess.com app. I'll play with you. But you can just start games there, and play just regular people. You'll get beat up at first, but it's best to play people than to play computers or whatever. Just do you can learn how to play. There's teaching tools on the app. You can learn how to play pretty quickly. Play some mock games, and then you want to start just playing other people that are just starting, right? And you can do it. It's not a big deal. Do it, bro. Do it. Also, my boys over here, the Cactus Boots boys, Philip Friedenberg and Jeff Walton, the America and the Cult of the Cactus Boots. You can see the gold one here. They're coming out with a new black and white edition for their 2-year. So it'll be in black and white. From what I've seen, it looks great. It looks really, really sharp. And you can see the green a little bit on my poster up here, What are my plans for the weekend? Reading any new books lately? Hey, John, nice to see you, brother. For real, happy Friday. My plans for the weekend, tomorrow are to try to. We're going to go look at a car for Fiona. Hopefully that happens. Of course, that'll be a blast, you know. And then if that does happen, I might spend the rest of the day going through that car, right? Checking all the fluids, maybe doing things like oil change, checking brakes, doing all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna have to, take wheels off and just like really look through it and really get a sense of the car. Go get a Haynes manual for it, things like that. I always do that and like really learn my cars. I like working on cars, I really do. I really enjoy working on cars more than I did at the door factory, for example, carpentry. I really enjoy gears and under a hood more than I do woodworking and things like that. You need to be way more, just taking something raw and then making something out of it is more an art than working on a car like that. That's more mechanical and just like, if it doesn't go where it's at, well, it doesn't go. It just doesn't fit, these kind of things. And you can't make it fit, nothing metal. You can just kind of rig up something the same shape, the same. It has to fit, that kind of stuff, right? But when you're building something, you're making it fit, making it what it is. So, yeah, I think I am. There's always new stuff I'm reading, bro. And I have been reading a lot of esoteric stuff lately, and I will talk about it. It's stuff that I want to talk about, but want to talk about it in a certain context. So, I have gotten to a point with my Buddhist playlist where I think that I'm ready to share something that is like why I started the playlist in the first place. Share something really, really deep. And it's a deep practice. It's a practical practice. And it's called the equalization and exchange of self and other. It's a meditation. A meditation practice that is a big practice, something that you're going to do, something that a practitioner would do. The first step, they would do that practice, that type of meditation, as their primary practice for, say, I don't know, 6 months or something. And then they would go to step 2 and do that. And the second type of meditation, a meditation on a certain subject, do that for a few months on the heels of that first one, right? And it is a entire system of meditation is called the equalization and exchange of self and other, and it's unbelievably profound. And I love this kind of thing. And even if you don't want to, go into this kind of thing, it really gives you a great idea of where, of the essence of what Buddhism is. It is because the driving question behind this meditation practice and why it came out is because the question is there's so much knowledge. The items of knowledge, different pieces of knowledge are so vast. How do we know what is the most essential thing that we can do in our lifetime to learn the most essential things? What is the most essential pieces of knowledge or things that we can learn because our time is limited? Things like this, right? And this meditation practice comes out of answering that question. The most essential teachings or the most essential things that we can learn that will essentially help us the most in our own growth, right? That's what it's about. You are familiar familiar with gaining knowledge. Yeah. We all are, especially readers. It's just like more and more pieces of knowledge, even if it's just reading fiction. You're getting other perspectives of characters, and having to reconcile them with your own, but also author's intent and things like this. It's just a vast thing, and there's just knowledge in all books, whether fiction or nonfiction, right? So the equalization and exchange of self and other comes from a Buddhist monk named Atisha. And Atisha was in the Middle Ages, medieval times, maybe even before, right? Like even, I want to say like 600, 700, but I might be wrong in that. I do have it down somewhere, but I'll have it right when I talk about it on a video, who it came from and what time. But it comes out of the same time period in Buddhist thought where the path of light, and you see I'm covering up the name here because this is a translation by L.D. Barnett, the path of light. But what the path of light, what this is a translation of the Bodhicharya Avatara of Shantideva. And the Bodhicharya Avatara is the name of the teaching, but it is basically a teaching on the path of bodhisattvahood, a practitioner of Mahayana Buddhism, but very, very deep. You see how thin this thing is? This thing will blow your mind. And if you want a piece of it, the chapter on perfect patience, I love it. It's one of my favorite things that ever. And so I have two videos, actually. One video where I talk about different parts of the chapter on perfect patience and explore those things. And then I have another video where I read excerpts from this, right? And those two go together. They're linked in each other's description boxes, things like that. Check them out if you're interested. But Shantideva was a very profound teacher, and so was Atisha. And they both came out of a university, a Buddhist university monastery at Nalanda. Nalanda might have been the grandest school of learning in its time, right? Since, the Alexandria, right? There's Alexandria and then there's Nalanda, things like that, like just an unbelievable place. And a lot of beautiful and wonderful, profound teachings came out of there. And, if you're interested in it, y'all let me know. Just drop comments and things like that in the comment section. It helps me out to know. My Buddhist playlist definitely doesn't get the viewership that my book videos do, but there are a lot that do watch them and enjoy them, and then we have conversation back and forth, right? So I'm going to keep doing what I do, right? And I enjoy it. But what I'm talking about sharing there is very, very profound, and it's really it's taking me a lot to get into and to share it, and thinking of how to share it so that it is shared effectively, but then also having to know that maybe nobody's going to give a crap about it, and it will get a few actual views, and that's fine. We'll just see. I put things out for the few that want it in that way, right? This kind of content here is for whoever wants to come and hang out with me, right? But the content that I'm talking about with that might be more for a limited audience, right? So I did pick up another Gene Wolfe. I saw this at 2nd and Charles. Fiona and I were out last weekend. We looked at a car, and then we went driving on the highway. It was the first time she drove on the highway. So we went up to 2nd and Charles, and I found, they had a stack of these brand new on the shelf. And so I got Gene Wolfe's final book. This is Interlibrary Loan, and it's actually a sequel to another. The first part is called A Borrowed Man. And I don't have that one, so of course won't be reading this one anytime soon. But of course, Gene Wolfe loves his multiple books. In a series. I don't think he wrote a standalone book, right? And the kind of standalone stuff that I see are stories, and there are some standalone books. I'm just joking about that, really. Like, things like Free Live Free and There Are Doors, and I have a few that are just standalone books. But it seems like he just had a penchant for these like long interwoven tales or reveals. You can never talk about Gene Wolfe too much because you'll spoil everything, because every book is a puzzle and a reveal. Sometimes a lot more puzzling than revealing. Right? And I finally got my hands on a cool copy of George Eliot's Middlemarch. This is a Penguin Black Spine. Check it out. Brand spanking new looking. Very cool. It seems like the reader got to page 117. Got to page 117 and called it quits. Did you? Come on, guy. Come on, guy. I hear that Middlemarch is like one of the best. If you're going to go back and read an old classic like this, especially you want to read a, get a female writer, a classical female writer, and a great book. This is where you go. This is like just a fantastic example. It says here, edited with an introduction and notes by Rosemary Ashton. So a little extra material there. And I can't speak to it too much. I've never read it. I've never owned it, but have been keeping my eye out for a good copy. I see it all over the place. A lot of times it's already been read and been probably read and reread, right? It just isn't in great shape. And right when I saw that Penguin Black Spine, I was like, I like it. It can definitely sit up there next to my Herman Melville, because I have the Moby Dick there in the Penguin Black Spine as well. I think that those classics just are so great for those editions, right? Yeah. Nice, Conrob. Heck yeah. So you guys that are over here from the, I'll mention another Corona Samas title, because I tell you, it's going to be tough. Jack wants to read Miss McIntosh, My Darling, and I do as well. But A Bended Circuity is calling my name, man. I'm not taking it off the desk. It has gotten so much praise and so much wonderful reviews. Just look it up on Goodreads. If you want, look it up on Goodreads and check it out. It's gotten one of the reviews on there won me this time. One of the most recent reviews on there won me because it actually gives more of a plot, more of a, just some of the plot things that are going on, and hilarious, unbelievable. And I can't wait to see what Robert Strickley does with the Bended Circuity right here. He was doing a giveaway of an advanced reader's copy of Thomas Pynchon's Against the Day. He was doing an advanced reader's copy of Mason and Dixon giveaway on Instagram. So if you, I don't know if it's over with. You might be already too late. But it is an amazing thing that he's doing a giveaway of that book, a very valuable piece of literature there. And also that he's gifted this book to our community, because there has been zero negative reviews of this book. Just anybody that's really going into it is awestruck by how well done it is. And it's his debut novel. It's a first novel, A Bended Circuity. y'all. I don't know if I can get away from it. So I'll give you a little rundown. I do like working on cars and things like that. You know what it comes down to. So y'all, it was a while where I had the Jeep in the shop for a rear axle bearing that had busted off of it, and that was tough. We were on one car. Emily and I were just on the van driving everybody. But then I get it back, and I knew I had a coolant leak, a coolant issue, and I needed to do a coolant flush on it. So did that and replaced a lower radiator hose, and that ended up fixing my coolant problem. Doing that coolant flush and getting everything right with that and replacing a lower radiator hose was it. I was able to fix the coolant problem, and the Jeep was running great. Then Emily was getting at cleaning her van. She has a Dodge Grand Caravan. And let me tell you, Emily is really, really great at washing cars and detailing cars. It is amazing what kind of transformation she can do with a dirty car or a ride that has not been cleaned in a while. And so we got to cleaning up our rides and getting them right. And I was feeling really good about having the coolant issue fixed, and was like, yeah, got it about where it needs to be. Okay. So the only other thing that I was worried about or that had been happening is a little power issue. Like the Jeeps have a power issue where if the battery goes below a certain voltage, it'll reset the computer. If it goes below like 12 or 11 amps of power, I believe, something like that, it will reset the computer. And so the Jeep had done that a couple of times, and it did it just randomly. Like it'll do it while I'm driving, or it'll do it like, once every, it did it once, and then it did it again like a month and a half later. Right? But then it did it twice in 1 week. Once I had got it back, it had done it while it was in the shop, and he said, and he was the one that had told me that these Jeeps will do that and reset the computer, and then you have to just let it run after that so that it can relearn, the idle speed, things like that. And I said, okay. And then it did it again on me within the same week. So I have a real awesome system in the Jeep. All right. I got two 12s in the back, all upgraded speakers, and I just rock it. It is a wonderful sound system. Okay. And we'll get more to that in a little bit too. So I knew that there was like a power issue. Well, there is a direct swap upgrade for those Jeep alternators, because the 2002 Dodge Dakotas, Yeah, read some Castaneda. That's what I'm talking about. What's Bob Anomaly? Happy Friday. Nice to see you. For sure. The '02 Dodge Dakotas actually have an alternator that is exactly the same, because they use the same engine, the 4.7 liter engine that's in my Jeep Grand Cherokee. But the Dodge Dakota had a bigger draw of electricity for the truck to work, right? So those alternators are actually bigger and stronger. They're 160 amps, whereas the original one in my Jeep was like 130 or 132 or something like that. So I just went and got the bigger alternator, and I had to change the belt out. The belt was squeaking and getting a little torn up, some of it and stuff. And maybe that was a cause of some of the power issue too. If an alternator gets these little rubber or, just crap all down in it's going to mess it up at some point, right? So I did that alternator upgrade, and then I was feeling real happy, right? Because the Jeep is getting full power, everything good, everything was running just awesome. And I had a little time then to look at the stereo system a little bit more, and I set all my crossovers just right. If you guys know anything about stereos, then you know that you can you want the right sounds coming out of the right speakers. It makes for a lot crisper and cleaner music experience, right? And there was two stages in my Jeep, two levels of the speakers where I was just kind of I was playing all frequencies to them, right? And then in the back, I was just playing bass, of course, right? To the subwoofers was just playing bass. But everything else was playing all frequencies. So I crossed over everything the way it should have been, the way it should be. And it got so much where I can crank it even louder and it sounds better than it ever has. It's so clear and crisp and just fantastic. You do rock, honey, for sure. So I was, man, then we're just crushing it, having so much fun. I showed up having just done it and showing the girls and say, listen to this, playing some old Stone Temple Pilots core, things like that, albums that just sound really good. Steely Dan's Aja, those kind of things. I love albums that just sound so good when they were albums that were produced right. So then I had a caliper lockup, and that was the Friday before last. That's when I had the caliper lockup on that Friday. It was as I was driving back from dropping the girls off from at work or something like that, right? And I'm like, oh no, I had to change the caliper, right? So I did that, changed the caliper, changed the brake pads. It's all good. And I did have a taillight issue. We had a light issue with the taillights, and I ended up just swapping some of the light bulbs and getting it right, because those Jeeps do have the taillights have issues, the way that they're wired, the way that they work like that. And I had said from the start that if these lights started giving me issues, that I was just going to upgrade the housing, right? Just get a new light housing. So I did that, changed up the headlights and the taillights actually, because they were so old. So it's looking crisp, right? Looking right. And then I was driving just this last week, and I noticed that the idle was getting very low, right? Maybe it was going down to like 400. Aja is incredible. It was going down to like 400, right? And it wasn't shaky, but, you can notice. You just feel it in a ride if the idle goes low, right? So it was getting low when I was sitting at stoplights, whatever. And I know that, well, if a cause of low idle, one cause can be that there's the throttle body is full of carbonation, right? And you can get throttle body cleaner and just spray it in there and, scrub it with a toothbrush or something, just a little bit, rub it with a toothbrush, spray it in there, wipe it out with a paper towel. It's very easy to clean as long as you can get to your throttle body, which, most people can. You just take off the air intake, wherever the air intake goes into your engine, and there's just a giant, a hole like this big, and that's your throttle body. And you can open up the flap in there and you just spray this brake cleaner all in it and do it, right? Well, when I took my air intake off of the throttle body to clean it, there's a hose on the air intake that, you just kind of unplug and plug back in. When I pulled that hose off the air intake box just to unplug it, where it went back, it wasn't connected to anything. It was not connected to anything. So I look at the tip of it and it's something broken off. It's a piece of plastic that's broken. And I look back there and there's a hole, okay, on a little piece of pipe, and it's just two connectors and then two hoses, right? So what it is a T junction that one of the tip broke off of this T junction. So, that T-junction is not available at like an auto parts store. It's something that you got to get from Jeep. So you have to make one, right? I'm not going to Jeep and paying, over $100 for hoses. Okay. And it was actually hoses with two resistors, or no, two reducers is what they're called, in it, because it allows air to go for the cabin air. But you don't want the air coming back in, right? So air can only pass through one way. So I had to fix this by making these things and keeping those reducers on where they're supposed to be on, right? Because if the airflow is not right, well, it might throw a code. And if it throws a code, then I'm not going to pass emissions, right? So I got to keep it right. So I fixed that. That was last night that I fixed that. I cleaned the throttle body. I did an oil change. As it turns out, it was time to do an oil change on the Jeep. I just hit, I do an oil change every 4,000 miles. Those 4.7 liter V8s are very temperamental engines as far as the oil that you use and things like that. You want to keep them really nice. They will, you do not want to overheat them. You do not want to mess with them, put them through unneeded stress in any kind of way. And I say that in an extreme way, right? Because you can drive these engines really, really hard. They're really strong. They're an amazing engine. The Jeep WJ, like I said, is probably the greatest vehicle that Jeep has ever made. And I love it. I mean, it's just, it is a beast. So, did that oil change, new air filter, all that kind of stuff. And as it turns out, it was, air for the cabin. That's why I wasn't getting good airflow in the cabin. And now I've got it set right before it's going to get hot, like get real hot, right? So the summer's on. And then I turn it on and see that, well, my airflow is better than ever, but my blower motor is it's like the resistor, or there's like a controlling mechanism, an electrical piece. It's like a relay, but they call it something specific for the blower motor is bad. It's bad, and I know it's bad because my blower motor blows in a speed that is coinciding with my RPMs, right? So my RPMs of the engine is actually controlling how fast my my blower is blowing in the cab. And there's some noise to it and things like that. So it's just old. So, I'm sure it's the original blower motor. So it's like 25 years old, or, not that, maybe 23 years or 22 years old. And so, it's a fan. It's it's had a bunch of crap in it. It's never been cleaned. It's never been looked at or serviced in any kind of way. And so it's time. So that's my next thing for the Jeep, is to fix the blower motor, and that's just going to be a replacement. It's very, very easy. It's in the cab up underneath the glove box. It's very easy, and then I'll be set for the winter or for the summer, and my girls won't be. They love riding in the Jeep, right? Because of the system and all that kind of stuff. We have a lot of fun with it. But they're not going to be such a big fan if it doesn't have AC, right? Also, just to let you guys know, just to wrap up, we got about 10 minutes left. I wanted to give you all a heads up that vacation is on for the house here. We're going to head out to the beach. We're in landlocked Atlanta, right? I haven't seen the beach in years. I haven't seen the ocean in so many years. I used to see the ocean once a week, because even though I still lived, out here, for my job, I drove to and from Savannah once a week. And when I did that, it was a delivery driver position, and I would go to Tybee Island. I would have a couple of spots to hit out there. So I would go to Tybee, and sometimes I would grab 15 or 20 minutes for myself, grab a sandwich. Maybe I was it was time to eat or something like this. Maybe not, but I would just park and walk right over to the beach, and just go and take some deep breaths and take it in and sit and look at the vastness, the infinity, it seems, of the ocean. And I miss it. I really do miss seeing that every week. So I'm looking forward to it. We're going to go at the beginning of June. So it's coming, right? I can't wait. We're gonna go get us some beach life for like a week or so, right? All right. So you guys let me know whatever you think about the anything that I've said. What you think about the future ideas of the channel that I've kind of thrown out. I'm gonna do some first content on Alan Moore's Illuminations. That's finished. Finished reading, but didn't finish making the content yet. And Roberto Alt's The Seven Madmen, the Flamethrowers. That's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna do some translator content. I have been talking with the translator. His name's Larry Riley. He's a very cool guy. We're gonna do some content and do some more content on the content of the books, right? Where we really go into why this book is so epic and amazing, and why it should be read by more and more people, especially now since we have a full English translation of Roberto Alt's The Seven Madmen, the Flamethrowers, right? So look out for that. That's just where we're going as far as fiction. I think I'm going to go ahead and start Miss Macintosh, My Darling, and A Bended Circuity, right? And let them fight it out in my mind. The one that I pick up and go to the most, well, that one wins, right? So, also, the reason I brought up Friedenberg is not just because there's 2 years and the black and white copy is coming out. It's because also that they're working on another book. It's The Big Blue Brick. They're calling it the Museum of General Ideas. And I can't wait for it. I'm telling you. The kind of fictional devices, literary devices, and how they're used in America and the Cult of the Cactus Boots is so fun and so awesome and such a wonderful reading experience. And he said, Noah, the Museum of General Ideas is even bigger, even better. It's just, he just is in the mode. The creative energy is strong with this one. And America and the Cult of the Cactus Boots is his first book, and he's only more ambitious with the second. So what an amazing ride it's been, and that's going to continue going. You keep pouring your energy into it, Phil, and we're all going to be more and more into it and appreciative, and just keep riding this wave, baby. So much fun. What's up, Noah? What's your recommendation for poetry these days? Chase Gaddis, thanks for seeing you. Thanks for coming by. Nice to see you. Friday, all that kind of thing. We're right here at the end. And poetry, I mean, I've been reading some poetry lately. You might have seen the picture on my Instagram. That's where you can kind of keep up a little bit more. I did turn off my notifications to Instagram and make it a bit quieter. I'm happy that I did. But over this last week or 2 weeks ago, I had posted a picture of William Blake's complete poetry and prose. I love William Blake. William Blake is probably my favorite poet, but not just for his poetic ability and his beautiful imagery and how he's a poet. That's wonderful. But because of his whole mythos, like I love what William Blake did. And William Blake's whole thing is just really, really my style. So I'll always, I was touching on and reading Songs of Innocence and Experience, doing some kind of dives into that. I love it. And of course, I always, I very much resonate with Jerusalem, Emanation of the Giant Albion, and I always touch on it and read it. I really urge anyone that has, that has any kind of desire to know more about Blake or to go for William Blake to read Jerusalem, Emanation of the Giant Albion, because of just the letters. Okay, there's letters in Jerusalem that start each of the 4 sections. One is to people who profess themselves to be Christian. One is for people who profess themselves to be Jewish. One is for people who profess that they followed natural religion, what he calls natural religion, which is, what most atheists are really. A where you worship the, the universe itself, is, it just is, and it is this thing, you can't understand, but you try to, and there's a reverence for it because we are here and alive, right? But these letters, and especially the very beginning of Jerusalem, the Emanation of the Giant Albion, starts off with him saying what he's going to do. These kind of things are really perceptive and well done to bring a reader to just an understanding of where Blake is coming from as a thinker and as an artist. And because he really sees himself as like a prophet, right? And, a prophet like John of Patmos that wrote the Revelation, right? Like just unbelievably powerful. And Blake was, and he is a giant, not just a giant of poetry and literature, but a spiritual giant as well. I love William Blake and would love to go more into it, but I have some stuff on my channel. Just go ahead. One of the first things that I did on William Blake is to give a kind of a guide on where to start with William Blake. So it's one of the first videos that I put out. Go ahead and check it out if you want more on William Blake or where to start, things like that, or just get a lot of information. And then there is a Beautiful Books in the Beautiful Books playlist, a Beautiful Books a video of Jerusalem, the Emanation of the Giant Albion, my Princeton University Press edition. Thank you very much, y'all. Happy Friday. Nice to see y'all. Thanks for coming and crushing some time with me. And we'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye, BookTube.